OMGs, boys, girls, in-betweeners, Red Gambit here, and I'm back with a beginner's tutorial for SAGAT. Now, you might be asking yourself, why the hell already are you doing one for SAGAT? Well, because I got a friend who's looking to learn SAGAT, and there are no decent tutorials on the internet for beginners. There's combo tutorials and there's shit like that there, but if you are just a person who is just starting out at Street Fighter V, you saw SAGAT and you picked up the game and you want to try him out, or if you're a person who's come back to Street Fighter V after Street Fighter 4 because the king has returned, there's nothing really on the internet for you right now. So I am looking to fix that. So, like I said, this is for beginners. If you're a person who knows how to play Street Fighter, who knows how to just, learn the basic stuff, this might not be for you. Check it out, see what you think, and let me know in the comments below. But that's pretty much it. We won't be covering any advanced combos, we won't be covering car cancelling or anything like that. This is just to give you a grounding and a foundation of how the king of Muay Thai works in Street Fighter V. Alright, so let's look at the overview of SAGAT. If you want to pick up SAGAT, how are you going to be looking to play him? Well, SAGAT is a zoner who really relies on frustrating his opponents with projectiles and anti-airs. So, all these target shots, that kind of thing, DPs for days, things like that. Those are what you're going to really want to do. That's how you play this character. He's not really designed to be played super aggressively. He does have some good pokes, which we'll get into later, but pushback and just the general speed of them doesn't allow him to maintain any kind of pressure for any extended period of time. So he's actually kind of a bit like Jury in the sense that he wants to get in, get his damage, get out, and go back to doing this a lot. This is going to be your bread and butter. If you don't like hearing the word Tiger over and over and over again, you may have picked the wrong character. Alright, but that is how SAGAT is meant to be played. Alright, that said, let's get into SAGAT's normals. Now, first of all, standing light punch. Solid poking tool, but basically one of the fastest buttons that he has, because SAGAT does not have a 3-frame normal. 4 frames, decent range as you can see, for a light. It's +4 on block too, which is kind of honestly shocking. You can see there, +4. So +4 normal, that's pretty good. That's a good pressure tool right there. Also combos into itself. So overall, pretty decent move, pretty decent button. Alright, standing medium punch. As you can see, quite short range. You gotta get in pretty close to use this bad boy, as opposed to the light. However, also combos into itself, which is pretty crazy. +3 on block as well. It's +7 on hit, but yeah, +3 on block. So it is pretty solid in that regard. The one drawback though is that it is not cancelable into specials. So you can do this, but you can't get anything afterwards. So good pressure tool, good frame trap if you know how to use those. But outside of that, there is some application for it outside of that, which we'll get to it a little bit later. But just for the most part, it's just going to be used to harass people, essentially. Alright, standing heavy punch. Not too hot. Not too hot. Very slow startup. 13 frames of startup. So, not too good. It's not special cancelable. It doesn't cause crush counter. It's got a decent range, but SAGAT's got better buttons, which we'll get into, which have better range. So you're really not going to be using this for much of anything, I imagine. Alright, standing light kick. It's a little slow, 5 frames, but it is solid in combos. Has a good range too. You can see there, it's a little bit deceptive. Kind of hits him with the tippy toes. So it's not too bad. And it is also plus on block as well. So that is always a good thing. It's actually +3. So good in combos, plus on block, special cancelable. So not a bad tool. Standing medium kick. Slow startup, but it's a good spacing tool. It's -2 on block. That's about it. This is really just what you want to use when you kind of mid-range and harass people. Again, there are some better buttons. That's not the one we wanted. We'll get to that one later. Pretty solid button. Good for the spacing, poking, that kind of thing. All right, standing heavy kick. If standing medium kick is good, standing heavy kick is great because it's actually faster than standing medium kick. It's only 7 frame startup. And it causes crush counter on the second. It hits twice, and causes crush counter on the second hit. So it is very solid. But that said, it will also whiff on crouches if you go for the second hit only. So if you make Jury just crouch here. Oh, no good. But if we're close, it does connect. So it's a little bit situational. But that said, like I said, second hit will cause crush counter, which will be extremely handy for throwing out in neutral as well. So really good. All right, crouching light punch. This is a little bit of a curious one. Not great range. Range is pretty. It's not great. I mean, it's not as bad as it looks. You can still bop jury there, but you can definitely get ones that are better. But that said, it does actually cancel into itself. So it doesn't link into itself. It cancels into itself. So you can just mash this bad boy and get 2 hits. So you don't have to worry about anything else. And it is still special cancelable as well. If you time it right. Oh, come on. There we go. Crouching medium punch. Good range. Special cancelable. Works well in combos. And +1 on block. So this is actually a really good button Sagat we'll be going into later on. But it gives you basically all the good stuff that you want in a combo button. So really nice. Okay, crouching heavy punch. This one I can't see having too much application. It's quite slow. It's not special cancelable. The only benefit of it is that it causes crush counter. So in situations where you're worried that stand heavy kick might whiff because of crouches, this has a more limited range, but obviously it's going to hit crouches. So it's going to be a situational thing. You're going to have to really decide which crush counter button you want to use in certain situations, but I can't see like you throwing this out neutral too much. This is going to be a much better button to throw out neutral. So that's kind of like just see what works for you, what works for your style, but I'm going to recommend this one over this one. Alright, crouching light kick. Not too bad. It's a good range, +2 on block. That's about all there is to it. Plus on block, decent range. That's about all you really want from a light kick button. And crouching medium kick. Good range. Deceptively good range. You kind of hits him with the tippy toes. Right there. So pretty solid range on that thing. Special cancelable. It's good for spacing. Solid all-round button. Crouching heavy kick. The sweep. The swoop. It's the same as any other sweep in the game. It is massively unsafe on block, causes crush counter, causes knockdown, but in Sagat's case, if you learn the range of it and learn to only throw it out at max range, because it is such a good range on it, people will have a lot of trouble being able to punish it on block. So that it definitely has that going in its advantage. Aside from that, like I said, sweep, there's nothing else to really know. Alright, on to jumping attacks. Jumping light punch. It's kind of hard to see because he jumps so high into the air. He's got a very short jump arc for Sagat here. Very high, very short. But you can see that it's got an okay range to it. It would basically only be used as an air to air. I can't see you really using it for anything else. It's very hard to get to land when you jump in. So that would really be the only application for it. I can't see you using it too much. I probably wouldn't really bother with it, to be honest. Alright, jumping medium punch. This, my friends, is your go-to air-to-air move. Terrible for jumping in. It's really awful. I don't even know if I can get this to land on jury if I jump in. No, it's extremely difficult. You will never be able to land this on jump in. Just give up on it. There we go. Very tough to land on there. But, if we set our friend jury, let's also some kicks in the air. Notice how she falls out of the air and lands on her back. That's a juggle state. What that means is that there are select moves you can get to connect with that on hit. What do I mean by that? Well, they're mostly EXs. It'll give you a free follow-up. Won't work with a regular DP. That'll whiff. So there's no, I haven't really been able to find anything else that really connect with it, except for, well, there's the EX obviously, but there's also Super. So, as long as you've got some bar respect, that becomes a very threatening air-to-air move. So I would definitely keep that one in mind, in muscle memory, anytime you're looking to challenge someone in the air. Alright, jumping heavy punch. Again, I can't really see you using this too much. his jumping heavy kick is better if you want to try and go for an airwave kind of situation, just in terms of range. And if you want to go for an airwave, you should be using jumping again punch. So that's just one of those buttons which doesn't really seem to have a whole lot of purpose to it. Alright, jumping light kick. This is Sagat's only cross up, and it's not the easiest thing to try and land. Nope. Nope. Reset the battle here. We'll get this eventually. There we go, cross up. So, because of his weird jump arc, how it's very shallow and very high, this will take some practice for you to learn how to get to land as a cross up. This is the only cross up option that he has because, like I said, Sagat's not really designed for mixing people up and going in. He's designed for hanging back and doing his thing. So, this is really the only purpose you'll have for it. If you just reflexively want to try and spot people out of the air with it, you can. But again, jump knee and punch, better answer. So, this is really the only purpose I have for it, essentially, is cross-ups. Alright, jumping medium kick. Atrocious as a jump in. Extremely hard. You can see his foot pass through her there, but it doesn't connect. Very hard to get this to land as a jump in. You can sort of just pass clean right through her there. Ridiculous. That said, sticks out pretty far in the air. So again, this is one of those buttons if you didn't want to use jump mini punch for some reason or it wasn't really practical. Has a good range on it in the air, so you could use this as an air. So keep it in mind for that, but not much else. Alright, and finally jump heavy kick. This is a go-to jump in tool. Good range, aims downward slightly, very easy to get it land, because it has good active frames. You can try using it as an air, but we've already covered this, so I'm not going to go into that again. This is really just going to be a jump in tool, because it'll be combo starter for when you jump in, so keep that in mind. Alright, let's talk about Sagat's unique attacks. He has 3 of them. I got 4 HP. This is Sagat's overhead. So if they block low, you can boop them. Has a fair bit of startup. It's like, as a lot of overheads do. -6 on block, as a lot of overheads are. So you won't be using this too much, just because it is unsafe and it has a lot of startup. But again, like a lot of overheads, if it's the last hit of the round and you're looking to just get that last bit of damage, not a bad option. Right, forward heavy kick. Gives you this bad boy here. Now you would think this would be a very good anti-air, and it's not, because unless it has a very slow startup, unfortunately. Really, really slow. So if we get our friend Jury here trying to jump in again. Alright, I'm gonna try and anti-air this with a. I got the first crack, genius. But that said, you see how earlier I had to do that. If I try to do it later, I get booped. Like if she's like halfway through her jump arc, it's too slow. That whiffed. So this is actually like, unless you have amazing reflexes or have the reads of a god, this is quite tricky to get to work as an anti-air. It does cause crush counter if you're lucky enough to be able to get it to hit, so you can get those follow-ups. But it's just so slow. It's really going to be down to you as a player whether you think you can use that as an anti-air or not. Alright, forward medium kick. Hits low. So you actually have to guard this one low. Has a good range. Can kind of catch people out of nowhere. Beyond that, you can't cancel it really into anything, so it's not that useful. Again, it can be car cancelled. That's the only thing it can be cancelled into. But it's just a good harassment tool if you want to catch people off guard. Definitely good for that. So keep it in mind if people are just walking backwards and forwards and never really crouching, you can just snipe them with one of these. So it's kind of like his overhead, but safer. So not too bad. All right, let's look at Sagat's throws. He's got 2 regular throws, a forward throw and a back throw, like most characters. Forward throw does this, and back throw. Ooh, let's do it on the other side. Does this. They both do identical damage, 130 damage. Now you can see the back throw does leave Jury a good distance away from Sagat. There's not really too much from there you can do. It's pretty much out of range of any button that he has. So the back throw is really used only for positioning. If you want to put someone in the corner or try and get yourself out of the corner, those are the times you would use back throw, because it's just the range that he just poops them out at. That said, forward throw actually has some more interesting setup opportunities for it, because, as you can see, he leaves Jury a lot closer to him. In fact, he leaves her in range for a stand heavy kick. So if you can time it right, you can throw out a stand heavy kick and crush any button that they press, if they're silly enough to press a button, and get a free follow-up. So that by itself is pretty good. I like the pressure options of that. You can condition them to just really just take it, and they'll have to either just back up or just block when they get forward thrown. So I do like that. I do like throws that give you options afterwards in this game. Okay, let's talk about Sagat's special moves. Now he has 3 of them, and they're all actually pretty simple to explain, so this won't take too long. You got your Tiger Shot. Basically, the light version travels slowly, mid version travels a little bit faster, average version travels the fastest, and you got the EX. Now, the thing about these here is that this is really Sagat's bread and butter. We talked about this at the very start of the video. These buttons and his other Tiger Shots, the low ones, which we'll get into in a moment, these are your primary spacing tools. These are what you're going to use to harass someone from a distance. Because you can just keep this up over and over and over, and they just have to deal with this wall of bullshit that you're throwing out. Which is going to be very annoying if they play a character who does not have any consistent answers for fireballs. So that is going to be your main game plan. Now, the thing about Sagat's Tiger Shots is that the standard fireball in this game has 47 frames of recovery. Right, that's what Ryu has. That's the baseline for his fireball, is 47 frames of recovery. The fastest recovery, to my knowledge, on a projectile, or standard projectile at least, is Guile's Sonic Booms, which have 38 frames of recovery. So Guile's Sonic Booms, because he is a zoning character like Sagat, recovers much faster on his Sonic Booms because he needs to be able to recover faster in order not to be punished for throwing them out in the first place. Sagat is very, very close to Guile in terms of recovery. Sagat recovers in 40 frames as opposed to 38. So he recovers 2 frames slower than Guile. So you're going to be pretty safe as long as you can keep them at a range where you're comfortable with throwing them, and then if they choose to jump in, you have the reflexes to be able to Tiger Upper them out of the air because he does not have a very consistent anti-air normal. That's going to be your whole game plan right there. Now, Tiger Shots all do the same damage. All the high Tiger Shots are +1 on block as well. So they're actually plus. So if they block it, they're actually disadvantaged for the next one, because it comes out 1 frame faster than they can actually finish blocking. So high Tiger Shot is a really, really good tool for keeping people at bay. And also traditional moves like Ryu's Tatsu, for example, will not go over high Tiger Shots. So it's also kind of an anti-zoning tool that also does zoning. So it's very good, is what I'm trying to say. You should be using this a lot. Alright, that is the Tiger Shot. The Grand Tiger Shot is doing kicks. Low travels the slowest, medium, and heavy travels the fastest. Not quite as fast as the high Tiger Shot, but still pretty fast. Right, the difference being here is that these ones will catch crouching people. So if Jury crouches, high Tiger Shots will go over her. Right, which people will do just once they figure out that they can't get past this wall. They'll start crouching. That's when you start using the Grand Tiger Shot, which hits low. It doesn't hit low, it just goes lower. It does not hit low, don't get that confused. Right. That said, the Grand Tiger Shot, despite of its name, is not actually quite as good as the regular Tiger Shot because this one is -4. So while you can use the regular one, you can use this as point blank range, and you'll be +1 on block, which is really good because that means you still have your turn, you still have your momentum. If you do this one, you're -4, which means it's their turn now because you're negative frames. So just keep that in mind, because you do not want to be caught pressing buttons after a low Tiger Shot if you're in this kind of range here, because they will punish you and it will probably suck. Alright, EX Tiger Shots. Now, the real thing to notice about EX Tiger Shots is they have 2 properties which the regular ones don't. First is they hit twice. So they will go through other projectiles and keep going if the other projectile only has 1 hit of durability. Same goes for low shot. The second part about this is that you can actually combo with an E afterwards, if you time it right. If you time it right. There you go. So you do have follow-up opportunities after for more damage if you use the EX version. But that said, it's also +6 on block. So that's something to keep in mind, is that you do get a lot of free pressure afterwards if you use that. You can throw it out and just be comfortable that they block it, then you're +6, so it's still your turn. And if they don't block it, then you get the follow-up opportunity, and you can go from one EX into another. So you can do this, into this. So if you use that as part of a combo, it's going to be pretty good damage. Alright, speaking of Tiger Knee, we have the Tiger Knee. Alright, again, same damage. They do have different recoveries on them, which is something to look out for. It's -6 at best and -9 at worst. The X is -4. So you will be able to get a little bit of pressure out of that if you're feeling a little bit crazy, but it is actually negative, so I wouldn't try that. It's -4, so you are unsafe. But like I said, people have done crazier things in Street Fighter. That said, you're basically just looking at different ranges, different recoveries. You really only want to use it in combos. You do not want to get tempted to use this as a spacing tool in neutral because of the fact that it does have that negative frame data to it. So definitely don't get too cocky and just start throwing that out randomly, because you will be punished for it. Alright, Tiger Uppercut is the other bread and butter special move that Sagat has. You get 3 different versions. Light, medium, heavy. You may have noticed there that the light travels the shortest distance, medium travels a little bit further, heavy travels the furthest. So heavy is going to be the one that you want to use in combos because it does travel the furthest, meaning it has the best chance to close distance if the buttons push the opponent out. Light version, however, is your go-to anti-air move because it has a lot of anti-air invincibility. It's only anti-air invincibility though. It is not complete invincibility. If they're on the ground, it's not invincible against anything. It's only if they're jumping in. So this becomes solid anti-air. So if we get Jury jumping. Also, if you do want the full grand invincibility, you have to use the EX version. The EX version is completely invincible on startup to everything. And does the most damage. So if you're prepared to spend that cash, you get full invincibility and better damage. Alright, let's talk about the V skill. Angry Scar. See, that just tickles his nipples. It's very hot. Right, you might be curious about what that actually does, since he just stands there and doesn't really achieve a whole lot. The answer to that is that you might have seen there, he had flames on his Tiger Uppercut that time. He doesn't have them now. Right, reason for that is because Angry Scar gives him a damage bonus to every version of the very next DP that you do. Only the next DP. Anyone after that will not have a damage bonus on it unless you do another Angry Scar. So, if we look at the damage on regular heavy DP, 130. If we do Angry Scar and do it again, 160 damage. So that is why you do the Angry Scar, is if you want a little bit more damage on your next anti-air or combo. That's really what it gets used for. That's the primary purpose, even if we do an EX. Let's just do a regular EX first. 160 damage. You do Angry Scar, 180 damage. So yeah, you get it's bonus damage. That's it. That's the primary purpose of Angry Scar. That's the only thing you're going to use it for. It's just to make sure. It also, there's a little bit of that intimidation factor because people have to worry about your next DP doing a bit more damage. But yeah, that's basically it. Alright, let's talk about the V skills. We got V Trigger 1 and V Trigger 2. Now, V Trigger 1, 3-bar V Trigger. So you want a little bit of razzle dazzle for 3 bars. Because it's gonna be pretty late in the round before you get this bad boy here, right? So you activate this. What does it give you? If you press your V Trigger again, you get Tiger Cannon. You get 2 of them, max, for this. Now, there's a few things about this which I find quite interesting. First of all is that it does way more damage than regular Tiger Shot. Regular Tiger Shot does 70. Tiger Cannon does 120 damage. So you're looking at almost twice the damage. That's more than an EX. It does 100. So, pretty solid. Second of all is that it has 5 hits to it. 5 hits. So if you're in a projectile war with someone and they're throwing out multi-hit projectiles, short of like V-triggers like Ed's giant ball of poison purple crap, whatever it is called, V-triggers like that, there's not going to be any projectile which can take 5 hits of durability to it. So that's pretty solid. So it's pretty good because it's the kind of V-trigger you can just, whether you know how to utilize it properly or not, you can throw it out. Worst comes to worst is that they block it and you wasted your V-trigger and that's it. Best case scenario, we'll get to in a second, but it has some unique properties to it. Right, so there is that. Now, the other thing is, it puts them in a jungle state. Regular Tiger uppercuts, EX Tiger uppercuts, you get follow-ups after this if it hits. So you're looking at more damage opportunities on the table now all of a sudden, right? That's not the best part though. The best part of this V-trigger that I've found personally is that it opens up new opportunities. Now you remember before we were talking about stand medium punch. Combos in itself, very plus on block, but doesn't cancel out anything. It's not special cancelable. And it's not special cancelable, but it is V-trigger cancelable. Right? So if you pop your V-trigger, you don't have to pop it on this. But you pop it at any time. And you do 1, 2, and then follow up. You get a 7-hit combo instead of a 5-hit combo because the whole string now combos. So you can do... Now we suddenly have opportunities for a lot more aggression because stand medium punch is so good, but the drawback was it wasn't cancelable. But now we can cancelable into moves that cause juggle, which give us more opportunities. So if you want to be really crazy, for example, you could do this. Whoops, blocked it. Woo! Getting saucy in here now. 443 damage for using half of your V-trigger and your super. Not too bad. That's half a life bar in one combo, and you did it off a move, which is a frame trap. I'm not going to go into too much detail on what frame traps are because they are a little bit of an advanced tool. But if you don't know what a frame trap is, just know that people who like to press buttons will get hit by this. So if they like to mash buttons when you're hitting them in the hope that they can hit you back, they're going to be in for a world of hurt. So that's V-Trigger 1 in a nutshell. Alright, let's talk about V-Trigger 2. This is only a 2-bar V-Trigger. And when you use V-Trigger, it gives you access to this kick. Now this kick by itself may not seem particularly good because it's actually minus on block. And you only get 2 uses out of it. Minus 8 on block. Not very good. And even on hit, doesn't really seem like you can do much with it. Can't cancel out of it, can't do anything like that. So it doesn't initially seem very good, but where it comes into its own is when you hold the buttons down. So you hold the buttons down and you get this. Takes a second to charge up, but during that second to charge up, he has armor. So he can take a hit while he's doing it. And when they get hit, they get follow-ups. When you hit him, whoops. Do the full charge. Whee! More super setup opportunities. So that's the good stuff. Now what makes this even better is that if we set Jury to guard all, and we pop our V-trigger, right, so she's blocking everything I do now. Doesn't matter what I do, but if I do this, we get a guard break. So you can follow up after that. You don't get the juggle, unfortunately, but you can still use combos afterwards. So, very exciting stuff. And we still get super after all as well. So, regardless, you can still go on super. It's good stuff. But that said, if you look at the damage on that, it only did 204 damage, so that guard break costs you in damage. So that's something to look out for as well. So it's going to be a discretionary thing, just figure out what you want to do after you break guard, but just be aware that when you break guard, you do take a hit to your damage. Alright, critical arts. You've already seen it. Oh, you're still blocking. Whoops. Doesn't really have a great, I mean, you can throw it out randomly, and if you'll go a decent distance, wouldn't be great though. So I wouldn't use it if you're too far away, because otherwise you get riffs. Like that. So you really want to use this when you're up close, but that said, he still moves forward. Now, the advantage of this being a critical art is that, like many critical arts in this game, it does have startup invincibility. It is completely invincible from frames 1 to 13. So keep that one in mind. Obviously, you know, I've already shown you multiple situations where you can use his super after a V-trigger, so those are going to be the ideal times as a beginner that you want to use a super. But if you just want to throw out raw, if you want to do wake up super like a crazy person, then you've just got to know the ranges that it works at, basically. Alright, and lastly, let's talk about combos. Now, I'm going to show you a handful of combos. I will show you the combo itself, and I'll show it to you again in slow motion so you can see each move as it comes out rather than having to stop and replay the whole thing, because that's really annoying when you're watching a combo video. These are far from the only combos that Sagat can do. Like I said, there are combo videos out there that cover many more combos, but these, I feel like, will help you the best as a beginner, just trying to do some easy things that will get you some reasonable damage. So that said, let's jump into the combos. Alright, that is it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this enjoyable. I hope you found it informative. If there's anything I've missed or anything you want to discuss, please leave a comment in the section below, and I will do my best to get back to you and hopefully be able to answer any questions that you have. Otherwise, like, subscribe, do all those things if you enjoy the video. I do post fighting game videos every single day. But in the meantime, kisses, hugs, belly rubs. I will see all of you very soon.